I can feel the tensions rising amongst the lions of Londolozi. And it's only a matter of time before there's a more permanent shift. A few mornings ago, Reese and Bryce found the Gijima male and Talamati male moving away from where there were some roars of other lions. We arrived to find a gorgeously handsome large male lion right in the middle of Londolozi. At first glance, I was pretty uncertain as to exactly which lion this was. But some roars from behind us got us to turn around to see an enormous, large male lion with a big black mane marching towards us, immediately helping us identify exactly who we were dealing with. Now, this is probably going to ruffle a few feathers amongst the lion community, but I can pretty confidently say that, in my opinion, which is founded on some pretty solid grounds, having seen and been pretty close to both coalitions, that this larger dark-maned Gijima male is a lot larger and more impressive than the bigger of the two plainscap males. So not long after these two lions regrouping, the smaller one got up and started marching down the road, the larger one sniffing around here. They then heard a squeak from a hyena in the drainage line off to our side, and immediately both started marching in there. So we did our best to try and follow them through there, but it is a ridiculously rocky and difficult to traverse block.
Okay, having a visual of the Gijima Males.
So we looped around, and despite our best efforts, we were unable to find where they were. Reese got down on foot with his tracker trying to see exactly where they might have gone, and he has some pretty strong evidence to believe that a group of lions killed a kudu in that block and were then chased away by the Gijima males, because the Gijima male and Talamati male were seen pretty full-bellied walking away from this area. The several pride were also found covered in a bit of blood, relatively full-bellied, walking away from this area in a different direction. So the carcass was now finished, and it was probably just a couple of hyenas squabbling over the bones that caught the attention of these Gijima males to head back in that area. When we thought all was lost, we headed back to the road, only to find the big dark-maned Gijima male marching out into the road in front of us. He was now heading back south, his business in this area probably done. And that then took him straight through an area where the rangers had lost the Ximungwe female and her cub, and were trying to then find them. So knowing that the Ximungwe female is injured, and her ability to get away from a lion is somewhat compromised, we sat there anxiously waiting. But thankfully, the Ximungwe female detected or noticed the lion before, and they came running out of the drainage towards where we were parked. The lion, still oblivious to the presence of these leopards, just continued on his path. So we let him be. We decided to stay with the leopards instead. Only to discover that a more concerning threat to the Ximungwe female's cub was lurking a lot closer than where that male lion was. The Nkuveni young male would very likely kill this cub if it came across it. And he was found by Nick only a matter of about 50 meters away from where the cub was last seen. Thankfully, the cub evaded danger once more, and we all left the area. The Ximungwe female moved away. We left the cub where it was, and the Nkuveni male then headed off a little bit further south towards the Tukwan drainage. That afternoon, desperate to find out what might have materialized during the day, we then found tracks of the Nkuveni young male heading away from that area, and subsequently then tracked and found him about 300 meters away. His mother was also in the area, contact calling, trying to meet up with him. However, he seemed to have better things on his mind. Now this is where things get incredibly interesting. The Nkuveni female moved right through the area where the Ximungwe female's cub was, and was contact calling. The Ximungwe female's cub responded to those contact calls and went running straight towards pretty much certain death or a very serious threat. Meanwhile, I was sitting about 200 meters away, bated breath, just waiting to hear, has this cub been killed or what's unfolded? The cub ran straight up to the Nkuveni female. She jumped over it, snarling, growling, hissing, salivating.
Just be nice, be nice.
And eventually the Nkuveni female moved off. So thankfully peace prevailed. And simply put, I do not have an explanation for this. A couple theories could be that the Ximungwe female's cub has never heard any other leopard's contact calls. So maybe it was confused and went running in towards where these contact calls were coming from, presuming that it was its mother. But one would assume that a cub would recognize its mother's contact call, so that might not be the case. Why was the Nkuveni female not super aggressive towards this cub? Was probably as a result of the cub's behavior. If the cub turned and ran away trying to get away, that would immediately initiate a more aggressive response from the Nkuveni female, who would have driven home her authority and probably end up injuring or killing this cub. But because the cub came running up to the Nkuveni female and presented itself and wasn't really timid or trying to get away or posing a threat to Nkuveni, that maybe she was a bit taken aback and didn't know what to do. But also, we're right on the periphery of the Ximungwe female's territory, where it is a boundary to the Nkuveni female's territory, and we know the Nkuveni female is pushing her territory a lot further south. So it's a pretty unusual area where these leopards would interact, and so maybe the cub just wasn't expecting to see another leopard in that area. The cub survived that, so we could all breathe a sigh of relief and celebrate the fact that the wild is just so unpredictable. So let us know in the comment section below as to what you think of these Gijima males. Are they bigger than the Plains Camp males or not? Tell us how this sighting with the Ximungwe female and her cub interacting with the Nkuveni female made you feel. And if you're enjoying these incredible sightings and virtual safaris, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That'll keep you in the loop with more of this amazing wilderness. That's all from me for this week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here again next weekend.